announcing the arrival of our Group CEO and the Group Executive Committee members. Mr. Martin Sen, CEO, Zurich Insurance Group. Mr. Jeff Daly, CEO, Farmers Group. Mr. Mike Foley, CEO, North America, Commercial and Regional Chairman of North America. Mr. Christoph Terrin, CEO, Global Life. Mr. Michael Kerner, CEO, General Insurance. Mr. Jeff Riddell, Regional Chairman, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa. Mr. Axel Lehmann, Chief Risk Officer and Regional Chairman of Europe. Ms. Cecilia Reyes, Chief Investment Officer. Ms. Isabel Welton, Chief Human Resource Officer. Mr. George Quinn, Chief Financial Officer. Mr. Yannick Hausman, Group General Counsel. Mr. Robert Dickey, Chief Operations and Technology Officer. Mr. Phil Smith, CEO, Zurich Insurance Malaysia. Members of the Zurich Insurance Malaysia management team, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the management team, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you today to this very special town hall with Martin and members of the Group Executive Committee. First and foremost, I would like to extend our special welcome to Martin and the GEC team to Kuala Lumpur. As we Malaysians would say it, Selamat Datang. It is indeed an honor to have all of you with us today. Martin and the GEC team are here for a very important reason. Martin was so impressed with our Menara Zurich and the Malaysian hospitality during his previous visits in 2011 and 2012 that he decided to invite his colleagues to join him here for his third visit and the first meeting of the GEC in Malaysia. It is indeed our privilege to be able to host such an important event for the group. Today, ladies and gentlemen, both Martin and the GEC team will address all your inquiries, issues, concerns that you may have regarding the business, the insurance industry, or even questions that you may have been wanting to ask Martin and the GEC team members personally. To start the event, I would now like to play the video, this leadership team meeting that was held in Miami. So enjoy.
Thank you very much and welcome everybody to this leadership team meeting here in Miami. I hope you all traveled safely. I hope you all excited. And I hope you're all energized. We have set 3 main objectives for this meeting. First, to update each other on the progress in implementing the new chapter in our strategy. Second, for everyone to become aware of what is expected from us as leaders. And third, for everyone to work on 3 leadership capabilities that are critical for success. And this is about accountability, it's about empowerment and inclusion, and it's about decision-making.
Zurich needs to evolve and renew itself if it wants to remain at the forefront of the insurance industry.
So leadership to me is about authenticity. It's about your values. It's about understanding where an organisation is heading and bringing your people along with you, but very much in your own style.
First, cornerstone, prioritize investments in distinctive positions. Second cornerstone, manage our business for value. Where we cannot manage for value and not turn around, we look to exit. The third cornerstone in the strategy is to grow our operating earnings.
So this event is very important for Zurich and all its stakeholders because it brings 135 people together who really have the power together and individually to make that change Zurich wants to drive.
It's all about accountability and responsibility.
It's about caring about people every day.
You got to show up. This team has to show up, and you got to show up with some passion.
Sometimes we're not going to know all of the answers, and that's okay.
Taking those learnings from those types of events, good or bad, needs to be part of the culture of the organization.
And everyone's got a different perspective on how to execute on the strategy. And bringing all those thoughts and perspectives together and sharing the different insights brings just incredible value.
Leadership really means to me having the courage of your convictions and knowing the great work that your folks do.
It gives us the opportunity as a leadership team to come together, share ideas, but also to discuss concerns that we have, discuss solutions, and discuss the way forward and take it back to our people.
It's been a journey. We've got a lot of really good work that's been done. We've got a lot of really hard work ahead of us.
What I've taken away is we have a tremendous group of leaders, and you see the engagement level in our leaders here just continuing to rise, and you see the belief.
One of the most specific things I took away is the continual need to develop leaders, and listening to my peers and also some of the presentations from the stage, I got some new frameworks for how to do that.
We talked a lot about our role as leaders and what that means, but what it really comes down to is bringing yourself every day to the job and doing the best possible thing you can do for your team, for the company, for our customers, for our shareholders, and for the communities where we work.
And the strategy, let me just quickly tell you, we express in a very simple way. It's who we are, what we do, and how we do it. We have heard fantastic stories supporting exactly that. Do the same in your own world. The story makes it alive.
I think what we hear loud and clear is you got to win the hearts and the minds of the people that you discuss the strategy with, and it really starts with all of us.
I now have the honor to invite Mr. Martin Sen to say a few words.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your very kind introduction, and good afternoon all colleagues here in Malaysia. I must tell you, this is the third time I come back. It's another great pleasure to be back, and as you have heard already, I brought not only the GEC colleagues along, which are all with me. We're going to have also the board with us later on this week, and with that as well the International Advisory Council. So this is the first time, by the way, where in one place we have three major bodies of the organization together, talking about the importance of our business in this part of the world, but also in how we sort of bring Zurich forward in other parts of the world. And you should feel very good about this, because it's a very strong commitment to this part of the world, Southeast Asia, but as well a very important commitment to Malaysia itself. Now, before I go a bit deeper into what you have just heard, and I don't want to take it too long, 10-15 minutes max, then I get some of my colleagues up on the stage and we're going to answer quite a few questions that you probably have. But before that, I want to take this opportunity to congratulate Phil on his appointment to become the CEO of Malaysia. It's very important. You know him, there he is. To welcome David Fick, who is being appointed as the head of the general insurance business here in Malaysia. And I want to take this opportunity as well to say thank you to John Ching, who has been running the general insurance business for so long, who has been dedicated priorities for the year 14, 15, 16. Fundamentally, the core of the organization, who we are and what we do and how we do it, is not fundamentally changing, particularly not on who we are. We are an insurance company. We are a focused insurance company. We have changed the name from Financial Services to Zurich Insurance Group. Insurance is the core of our business. That's what's going to remain, and that's where the real focus is. Our values have not changed. Our values, you know, are the Zurich basics. It's integrity. It's excellence in everything we do. It's about sustainable value creation. We are here for the long term, not the short term. Our customer focus is part of our values. That's rather reinforced by the action we are taking, but as a value, as principle, has not changed. And of course, teamwork, which is also a very important pillar of everything we do, has not changed. So the value set is intact, has been, it's not going to change. Our commitment, which is very much the purpose statement of this organization. Very often I get asked, why are you here for? And then I ask back, you mean me personally or Zurich as an organization? And people then, at the moment, some of them, they say, you personally, some of them mean Zurich. But the principle is the same. We got to have a understanding and what is the purpose of our being. And particularly as well for an organization. Because if you're sort of not clear on why are we here for and what is the purpose, very often you get disorientated and you risk of losing focus. And our commitment is all about serving and caring for our stakeholders. And the stakeholders are our customers, our employees, our investors, and with that as well, as these folks form the communities where we live and work, we also have a commitment to the communities. And whilst we have this strong and firm commitment to serve and care for all these stakeholders, that's also a challenge, of course, because there are conflicts on how to balance all these interests. But frankly, we have no choice. We cannot go out there to the world or to ourselves in an honest way say, we only care for our investors. We only have to make money and nothing else counts. If we would do that, we would not do many investments. We would not spend a single dollar in all the good work we do for our communities. And the other way around, if we would just care for the communities and rather than paying a dividend, invest everything for the well-being on where we live and work, that wouldn't go down well either. So it's a function of balancing all these interests, caring for all the stakeholders, serving the stakeholders, and keep that balance intact. That's very important. That's really what the purpose of the organization is. So we have a clear purpose. We have a strong set of values. We have a clear mission. Our mission is to help our customers understand the risks they face and help them to protect themselves from those risks. And we have a very high ambition and an aspiration to be number one. Meaning, we not only want to play in the Champions League, we have to strive as well winning in the Champions League. That's pretty tough and difficult to do it every year. But it's got to be the aspiration. Otherwise, we fall back. We forget about training ourselves. We got to forget to keep fit. We got to stay fit to meeting that aspiration. And that's really who we are. And what we do and how we do it, that's basically what you have heard in the video, as we are now shifting. You know, the last 5 years, the last, say, 4 years, from 2010 to 2013, our focus was, as we were in the middle of a major financial crisis, the focus was stability. We said for those years, we're going to be stable. If the world is getting more sort of challenging and the financial crisis would get worse, we would survive and we would well survive. That was the focus. And as we have now somewhat a bit more of an optimistic outlook, and that's behind us, and our balance sheet is very strong, and our global position is very strong and well diversified, we are saying we become more offensive. We want to gain market share. And we cannot do that all over at once. So we're saying first cornerstone, we prioritize to invest, and we prioritize investments in distinctive positions, meaning we invest in strengths. And we are strong in the global corporate business. We are very strong in the mid-market business in North America. We are very strong in some retail markets, in Switzerland, at Farmers, in Italy. So we prioritize these investments at this point in these markets, and in the years to come, we define sequentially where else we're going to prioritize and make additional investments. Step by step. And Malaysia is one country which at one point potentially is going to be prioritized. We have not decided yet which year, as this is an ongoing undertaking. And the second cornerstone you have heard is very much manage other businesses for value, i.e. where we do a good job. And a lot of areas where we do a very good job, but where prioritization is not at the forefront of our action, we just continue manage the business as is. Because we are showing good financial results, we have good customer satisfaction, we have good employee engagement, we're growing at or above the markets. There are quite a few spots where this is happening. So just continue as is. And where we don't, we turn around or we exit. We have some turnaround areas. As we speak, we have to still work hard in the Middle East. We have to still work hard in South Africa. We have to turn some of the business around in Brazil. Just some examples. And we have decided as well to exit some of the businesses. Just as one example, the retail business in Russia, because we were not able to turn it around. And frankly, if we keep losing money in any area of the business and we're not addressing it, this is a bit like sort of a wound which you're not treating, or a bleeding body. Excuse my very sort of direct and blunt sort of analogy. But we got to address that, and that's what we are doing. And with that, we have received very good reception from all the stakeholders in terms of the progress we are making by the middle of this year, and you have seen the results. And I'm very pleased that we had this sort of success already only 6 months into the execution of this strategy as we move forward. And the third and last strategic cornerstone is very much to continue growing our earnings. We have a set of actions taken to do that. We have decided to take modestly more risk on the investment portfolio. We have concluded that already by the middle of this year, by increasing our equity holdings and holdings into credit. We have also launched a group-wide project which should simplify the organization. It should you might have heard the project called Dragonfly, but what it really is, it's not so much about the name of the project, but more the action, the objectives, the simplification of the organization, become leaner, faster, more agile, delegate more authority to the market-facing units. You will be a beneficiary of this project. You will receive more authority in order to be faster in the response to your customer. You will receive more authority in terms of your underwriting guidelines, with regards to the claims guidelines, with regards to any other decisions such as HR recruitment and so on and so forth. You will be able to move within your budgets without always getting pre-approvals. That's the objective of this project. And the other objective was to as well make sure that we are having a look on how we can optimize the governance structure with regards to an ongoing changes in the regulatory environment. The regulatory environment is very complex, and we obviously have to as well adjust the organization to do that. That's the second priority of that project. And the third one has really been as well, where possible, reduce costs. A simplification is very often freeing up as well unnecessary cost. That has also been achieved. So with that, I want to just make a point and I have a strong conviction that in Malaysia, as we are in a market which is growing well, you grew 6%, I think second quarter or even this year, 5% last year. We're growing in this country well above the global standard. And the outlook in terms of the growth globally in this part of the world, it's not just Malaysia, but Southeast Asia altogether. It's much better than anywhere else. And with that, I'm very excited to see that we are making progress here. But let me be very clear and frank. We have to make more progress. We have not made enough progress yet. And my expectation for the management team, for all the members here in Malaysia, is that we can do better as we move forward. And where we have sort of stumbling blocks, which does not enable us to do so, we have to talk about it and find solutions in order to go about it. But the importance is that you have a very strong commitment from the GEC, from the group, to develop the business here. And I'm very pleased to as well give all the support needed to the management team here on the ground. And with that, I want to take now the opportunity to thank you all for your efforts, for your dedication, for your hard work. And I'm very excited to be here this whole week. And I hope that we can interact with each other on the corridor, wherever you bump into, wherever we bump into each other. And for that, I'm very much looking forward to. I'm also like when you smile. So I start seeing now towards the end, some smiley faces, which is very good. If you should never sort of forget to smile as well, even though at times things are a bit more tougher. And that brings me to a story I want to share with you. I was asked here, maybe I've heard the story, sorry if I do repeat it, but I'm very often being asked, what's the most important thing you're doing, or what is most important for a CEO or for any leader, sort of in terms of the characteristics to have? And I must tell you, it is about being able to smile. And about 30 years ago, I didn't feel like smiling when I was in the army. We were in a 1-week survival camp, and one night we came back from a combat exercise. I was with the tank force. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, was winter, was wet, was cold. It was not really a motivational sort of setting. And after cleaning the tanks, we were about 4 o'clock, we were back in our camp, ready to go to sleep. And we knew if we make it by 4 o'clock to bed, we're going to have probably about 2 hours to sleep after every other day before not having more than 2 hours to sleep. So we were tired and not in the best possible mood, to be polite. And as we down in bed around 4 o'clock, 20 minutes later, alarm. Alarm. Alarm means get up. Get up fast. Get back into the wet clothes, get back into the field. That's what happened. And frankly, these are not really moments where you feel like smiling. These are moments where you're rather in a bad mood. I'm not sort of repeating in the words I felt at that time. And after practicing peace, in Switzerland we practice peace. We don't practice war, we practice peace. We drove around with the tanks. After 3 hours or so, 4 hours of driving around again, we had to sort of assemble. It was 8:30 in the morning, and the lieutenant or the first lieutenant sort of assembled us around and said, everybody around. So you stand around, and again, the feeling was not positive. And out of respect, again, I'm not expressing the words I felt at the time. I was pissed off. So, and then the first lieutenant asked the question, do you know what an artist of life is? And I thought for myself, please not now. That was not sort of the mood you feel in to think about an artist of life. And I'm sure you had not this experience, but similar experiences where you didn't feel really comfortable and someone asks a question and you feel provoked. And as he moved, I see a lot of nodding, as he moved on, he said, an artist of life is someone who in the most difficult, most frustrating moment still sees something positive. And then I thought that a bit smarter than just asking the first question. And he said, everybody turn around. And we had to turn around, 180 degrees. We just stood there, and what we saw was a most beautiful mountain panorama. with the most beautiful early morning blue sky. And as we stood there and looked at this beautiful panorama, I'm picturing it right now, the sun was rising. So the most beautiful sunset. And he was saying, guys, never forget the sunrise. Because in your life, you will have many more moments where you have not more than a sunrise to be pleased with. And he promised us for that week that was going to be the best moment. And thinking back, for my experience, I had quite a few more moments where I just had a sunrise to kind of remember or to think about it. And that's the most important thing in life. And that's the most important thing in leadership, and particularly in leadership when things go wrong and things are not as good as they should be, and when things you cannot control become kind of even worse, you have to take responsibility. You cannot delegate it, to stand up for it, and you only can do it if you have a constructive and a positive attitude. And that's what I do wish us all, but I also wish us that we don't have too many such moments. And with that, I hand over to you again to bring the panel up for more questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Martin. That really means a lot to us, truly inspiring. Next on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is a dialogue session with our GEC panel. If I may have on stage, firstly, Mr. Martin Sen, Christophe Theron, Michael Kerner, Jeff Riddell, Cecilia Reyes, Isabel Welton, George Quinn, and Robert Dickey. I would now like to invite Phil Smith to lead this session. Phil, please.
Thank you, Rosianna, and thank you, Martin, for that wonderful speech, and thanks very much for congratulating me on 4 weeks' worth of appointment. To my colleagues here, welcome. To those of you who have congratulated me and given me your best wishes, thank you. To those of you who have not yet, there's still time. And I know who you are. To members of the GEC who've come here from Los Angeles, Chicago, Zurich, and Hong Kong, welcome to Malaysia. 2 things you will notice about us instantly is that our stage is only big enough to accommodate 8 people. So questions can be directed at any one of the 12 members of the GEC, and I'm watching out for the others here to give me an eyebrow when they want to speak. The other thing that everybody will notice is that we do not spend all our budget on microphones. For the question and answer session today, we've had many questions submitted in advance, some professional, some personal, some general, some very, very specific ones. We've had to select down those of most general interest to the people in the audience today. We've selected those people who submitted those questions to ask them for us. We've shared some of those questions with members of the GEC, but not all, just to keep it a little bit interesting. And we've rated them between normal, spicy, and in true Malaysian style, very spicy. So, over to you. Who's got the first question? Jeevan. Name, department, question. If you want to target one particular member of the GEC, feel free. Otherwise, we'll just take it as it comes.
Thanks, Phil. Very good afternoon to GEC members. My name is Jivan. I'm from the finance division. My question is, how would you describe the importance of Malaysia to Zurich? And what are the GEC's expectations of Malaysia? I would like maybe Martin to answer.
Very much. So the question I understood was, what is the importance of Malaysia and what is the expectation, right? Before I hand over the mic to my colleagues to answer the question, I also want to make a point in the other colleagues which are here and up on the panel. I would like to ask for Axel to stand up. Axel, stand up quickly, show yourself. Axel is the Chief Risk Officer. Yannick Hausmann, our General Counsel. Mike Foley, the head of our North American business. And as well Jeff Daly, the Chief Executive of Farmers. And naturally, we will include them as well in the Q&A if there's any relative question. I understand the panel was set up for those folks which have most to deal with this part of the world. Just wanted to make that point as well. And with that, some of the question, there's a very strong commitment on Malaysia from the group. There's a high expectation from Malaysia as well in terms of the growth. But let me hand over the microphone to my business colleagues and the business leaders to be a bit more specific.
Maybe let me start. When Martin talked about prioritizing investments in distinctive positions, I mean, that is a very important point. And we've been very clear at the group, there are areas where we want to grow, for the long term. I want to be very focused where we make those bets. Now, in Global Life, we only selected 4 countries. Yeah, those were Brazil, Mexico, Indonesia, and Malaysia. Yeah, it's one of the 4 growth plays where, because of the market, because of the position that we have, I mean, we are an important player here in Malaysia. We're very happy with the acquisition that we made and the position that we have here in Malaysia. So you're one of the big growth plays for Global Life. Yeah, and I think with that also comes a responsibility. We want to see some growth here. We want to build on the strengths that we have here. And you should see us continuing to invest. Organically, we have a plan, but if there are capabilities we need to add, then we will look at that as well.
So I think the importance from a GI perspective really borne out by the acquisition that was made in 2011, the analysis that it was very important for us to have a strong presence here in Malaysia. And as we think about it right now, in 2014, Stu Spencer and the Asia Pacific team have identified as well 4 countries, but here in Asia Pacific, that we really want to focus our efforts on, those being Australia, Japan, and certainly Hong Kong, and then finally, last but not least, Malaysia as a key market for us to be growing in. I think from a GI perspective as well, though, we need to recognize that we want a business that will stand the test of time. And one of the things that I think we're very much focused on within the Zurich organization, we've been around for 142 years. We want to be around for another 142 years. So absolutely critical as we think about growing. We think about growing in a very sustainable way. We think about growing off of a very firm foundation of strong technical capabilities, great distribution, and great customer service. And so we need to build that foundation. We need to make sure we build off of the great foundation that's already in place, but make sure that we're in a position where that growth is going to be sustainable for the long term. So we want to see the growth. We want to see it clearly here in Malaysia. It's very important for our overall GI business, but we also want to make sure that it's going to be profitable and something that can stand the test of time.
Isabel wants to also add to that question. So for this opportunity as well to make a point on the importance of our people. And I think there couldn't be more of a proof point that we really want to have the voice of our people represented at all levels of the organization. And in that context, you have to also understand and to see and to recognize why we have appointed Isabel Welton as a member of the Group Executive Committee, and with that as well as the Chief Human Resources Officer. So we have someone in the GEC now which is focusing on people only. In all discussions at all levels of the organization, people play a very important role. A more important role than ever, because it is us, the people, which are executing the strategic priorities. And in the video, you have seen and heard people speaking about empowerment, about accountability, about effective decision-making. This is what I expect. When we talk about more empowerment, accountability, and decision-making, this is what I expect from all leaders. Some of them are ready to do it, some of them are not. And we got to get everybody up to this level, to be ready, to accept this empowerment, to take accountability, to make effective decisions, to push that business forward. That's one of the agenda points Isabel is following up with in order to make us all ready to fully meet this requirement. And with that, I know Isabel wants to add to the primary question. Thank you.
Thank you, Martin. And you know, it was amazing when I came here about a year ago. As you drive in from the airport, you see a big Zurich sign, right? And I was so proud of that. I interacted with some of you last year, and I realized the strength of this team, the diversity in this team, and I really like to say from a people point of view, the reason. Is this my microphone? There's no. The reason why Malaysia is so. Number 3. The reason why Malaysia is so important to us from a people perspective is because you represent a diverse and deep talent pool that we need to be able to tap into.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that one. That was that question, so I hope nobody's hungry. Who's got the second one? Richard.
Thanks, Phil. Very good afternoon. My name is Richard. I'm coming from Business Change. So my question is, how does the GEC member sees the Malaysia progress since the acquisitions in 2011? Thank you.
There's been some change. You know, this was a good business with challenges when we bought it. We clearly knew that we had to do a lot on the investment side, but we also had to bring in the Zurich way and how did we want to manage the business, bring our philosophies into place. And the work that we did before we'd actually bought the company to prepare for that was hugely helpful. So we've clearly become a part of Zurich. It really is ZIMB, and MAA is yesterday's story. Does that mean we're done? No. We've got to continue to move forward, really in every area of what we're doing, because we've got to do what Martin said, is we've got to become Champions League players. And in order to do that, we've got to be good at everything we do, every facet of the business. And we've got to realize who all our stakeholders are and make sure that we too look after and balance all 4 of those stakeholders. So a lot more to do. It reacts to more, doesn't it?
I would like to add something to that. As Chief Investment Officer, of course, my focus is on investment management. And I would like to say that I'm very pleased with the progress made by the investment management team here in Malaysia. I think they've fully been integrated to the investment management organization of Zurich as a whole. They fully bought into our mission, our philosophy, and the way we do investment management at Zurich. I think they've done a great job reshaping the investment portfolio and refocusing it to make sure that it's fully aligned with the liabilities. And we have a great team of talent in this team. And I see Andre Foreman here smiling. He's our Chief Investment Officer. And I'm really very pleased with the progress on the investment management side.
Okay, let's. Thanks, Richard. Let's move on to the next question. Yvonne.
Hi, good afternoon as well as welcome. My name is Yvonne and I'm from Strategy Management. I would like to find out more. I think earlier you mentioned that we have aligned ourselves quite well with the Zurich way, as well as, we are in the process of fully embracing it. So what I'd like to know is, in terms of managing Zurich, how is, in terms of managing the portfolio of businesses, how does Zurich manage its businesses within the developing markets as compared to more matured markets? Thank you.
So, look, at the end of the day, when you look at Zurich, I mean, I think one of the strengths that we have is that we are a global player. We can bring global capabilities to the forefront. And so some of the things that Zurich brought as well into the acquisition was exactly that, a clear view on what capabilities are critical to an insurance company, whether that is proposition development, I mean, customer insight, etc. Now, I say all of that, and it is clear that there are differences market by market. There are differences between developed markets and developing markets. But some of the basics will be the same. So strict discipline on capital management, on underwriting, our values. I mean, you heard Martin talk about that. Those are things that we see consistent across all countries. I think what is different here is that, I mean, first of all, the market reality is different. I mean, you have a growing middle class. You have a changing regulatory environment. All those things are different. And that's where we need local management to focus on the customer, on the distribution, which are different market by market. And that's also when we look at different countries across the group, we look at the macro potential, we look at the long-term growth potential. That's how we make some of our decisions on where we want to invest, where we want to grow. And so there are some consistencies, there are some differences market by market. When we manage the group, we're very clear as to what we want to see consistently done. And then some of the areas where we're more excited to make an investment, some of the areas where we decide to manage things for value, that's where you see the differences country by country.
Thank you.
So I would just add briefly on that. Thanks for that question. I think there are, as Christoph pointed out, there are a lot of similarities. There are also some differences. I think one of the keys, of course, is that we do have the who we are of Zurich is the same everywhere, whether we're talking about an emerging market, a developed market, that doesn't matter. So the Zurich basics are the same. So our expectations around risk management, our expectations around compliance, our expectations about the way we do business, these are consistent throughout the organization, regardless of what market we're looking at. And we do find in some emerging markets, the way we approach those things is a little bit different from the local champions. And we have to keep our North Star of who we are and the way we do business is the way we do that. And, you know, if the local guys want to do something a little bit different, that's fine, but we're going to approach it in the way that we think is best to serve our customers, to serve our shareholders, our employees, and the communities where we're working in. I think one of the big differences, though, is that in emerging markets, we are expecting more innovation. We're expecting growth. We're expecting new ideas for that market. We're expecting to help some of those ideas with some of the things we're doing in other markets, but big difference around, in particular, growth expectations and innovation expectations.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next question. Afifi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Mohammad Afifi from Human Resource. I have got a question with regard to Dragonfly. I know that Martin has briefly touched about it a little bit, but I think I'm seeking for more. So yeah, through various channels of information, we know that Dragonfly is all about simplification. Phil has done a good job explaining about that to us. But in simplified and layman term, what are the implications to the local business units? That's something that I would like to know more. Thank you.
Maybe I ask Axel to quickly step in because Axel has been the chairman of the steering committee project. But just one point whilst Axel gets up on stage is that clearly this is an expectation and a ramification which goes both ways. You will be more empowered, you will be more independent, but you will be more accountable as well to deliver. This is not like when things are not working in plan, that then the group just sort of is there to prescriptively give you clear indication what to do, how to do. This is about the empowerment as well for management on the ground to sort of initiate mitigation if that is necessary to do so. So the spirit's got that has risks, of course, but we take these risks. Risks that at times things get a bit lost in translation. But the main, and I should also stress, and Axel will potentially talk more about that in the Project Dragonfly, all the market-facing units in developed markets and new or emerging markets have not been part of that project, right? So clearly not. And I think that is basically the positive news. And wherever I went traveling, people have been applauding on that note, and I hope you feel the same way. Is everything clear as it stands? No. Because only at the leadership team meeting we have spoken in more detail about it. So that has to obviously go down in the organization for everybody to fully understand on what the potential opportunity with that is on the local ground. Axel, sorry.
Okay, let me try this mic. By the way, it's great to see you all here from the front, and thanks for the question. I think there are 2-3 things I would like to mention to Dragonfly. The first one is, and you might have maybe felt it in the past, normally, you know, corporate center is always asking a lot from the business units, and you have to, you should do, and you always need to run faster and jump higher than originally planned. So we were scratching our head when we were thinking about, you know, as we strongly felt there's a need to simplify, to adjust a little bit the way we do business. And we said it really needs to start at the top. And that's why Martin was alluding, maybe you have not heard or seen too much coming out of Dragonfly, because we look to, you know, all those guys sitting not in Malaysia, but maybe in Hong Kong or in Zurich. So we look to all what we call layers above a business unit, and we really try to do the homework. Just to give you a little bit an impression of this, we looked, and this is obviously a global figure, you know, overall we have roughly 1,200 process activities above a business unit. So, you know, what you need to deliver to somebody, you know, outside of Malaysia, and that is a global number, and we basically eliminated or significantly roughly some 450 out of it. This is huge. And we are now in the process, step by step, as we speak, to roll it out this quarter, the next quarter, and also maybe in the first quarter of next year. The second thing we said, and I think I just can echo what Mike Kerner has said, you know, despite we want to have a vibrant business also here in Malaysia, where you are empowered to take the real decisions you need to take. And the real decisions that you need to take is about your customers, the service you want to provide, the products, you know, the way you interact with your distribution. Yes, and that will happen. And I come back to this in a minute. But you are also part of a large group. So, you know, Isabel and I and everybody in the room feels so strongly about it. The Zurich basics, our Zurich commitment, the risk management that we also need to strengthen here in this organization, our financial discipline, that will not go away. So, you know, we will continue to be part of a strong group, but on the other hand, there will be more empowerment and more delegation of authority. So how will this work? And this is where Martin was talking to, and that comes in. When I look to some of the countries and some of the business units, they have, for example, in the past, invested hugely and a lot in, for example, improving their underwriting, improving their claims organization. Obviously, when you are fit on the ground, you don't need too much, oversight, and they will have a much lighter touch oversight than those businesses where we still need somewhat to catch up. So I cannot give you a general statement. It depends very much on where you are function by function. And the more capabilities we have, the more professionalism we have, the easier it will be the interactions that we have. But what you will feel, and especially this organization, is more clarity around it, less, cumbersome processes, less administration, somewhat less reports. Ultimately, you all should use the time to really focus on the execution of our local Malaysian strategy.
Thank you, Axel. Now I have a question, if I may. May I? Thank you. I have a question for George and for Robert. Totally unrehearsed, of course, but I want to take this opportunity, of course, to welcome as well the last colleagues. I introduced Isabel to my left. I want to as well, starting with Dave Fighting now, who is first. They both have to answer the same question. George, the Chief Financial Officer at the far end, joined us in May. And Robert, the Head of Chief Operations Technology Officer, joined us in March. Now, very important nuance and detail. I mentioned the Chief Operations and Technology Officer. So that little detail, technology, is very important to recognize. It also shows the increased importance we put on technology in the way forward, in particular as well, more longer term, with the importance of what digitalization and data and predictive analytics and all of that is doing to our business. And obviously, Robert plays a very important role in that, together with the business and all business leaders. So my question to both of them is to give us a very brief sort of intro on how they feel at Zurich, what they like most, what they dislike. Well, I assume there's not much they dislike, but if there is anything, be open and honest, and share this as well, of course. Thank you.
So I'll cover the good things and Robert can cover the bad things. My sense, I mean, you're a good example of one of the things I think is good about Zurich. I mean, the culture is generally very warm, it's very friendly, people are very open, happy to share and to help the organisation at large try and do a better job. So I mean, that part of it I really like. I think there's a flip side to that, which is a strength. And the weakness that tends to come with it is that maybe we don't challenge each other as much as we might do to get more out of ourselves because we're quite nice. I think we have to find a way not to lose the niceness, but bring a bit more of the critical evaluation. I mean, I think I see a number of us doing it, but I think we could do it more systematically.
Hello, and you'll hear that the accent is very similar to the one with my colleague on the right of me. It's just a theme that we have. And also technology, just for those of you who are wondering, does include microphones. I'm aware of the glances of my colleagues who are about to say to me, so once again, technology is supporting this event, and I'll get curious questions over dinner later this evening about why the technology and what's happening with the voice and the communications pieces. So I'm aware that's going to be a subject over dinner. There's no more budget. And I'm just being told by the Chief Financial Officer, there's no more budget. Once again, the situation is normal for technology. Well, again, what I like in Zurich, again, I'll share what George said, and it's been great to get around. In my sort of first couple of months, I get around as many places as possible. I didn't make it. This is my first visit here to Malaysia, and I'm going on from here up into Hong Kong and spending a bit of time with the folks there. And again, I think it's the the positivity that I see around the company, positivity about our brand, positivity about our countries, and about all the things that we're doing in those in all those environments. So I think that's a fabulous thing. And the energy and commitment people bring to it. The other factor is, Martin alluded to it in his conversation, is in terms of the sort of core of kind of honor and commitment, and especially commitment to our customers inside this business, which I think is something that really differentiates us from other brands in the marketplace. I think that's really great. The flip side of that, what I see in terms of from an operations and technology space, and I'll just talk about that for my area, I think, and just building on what Axel was saying in relation to Dragonfly, I think we can sometimes make things just a bit too complicated. And I describe my world in the split between, and back to Dragonfly, as a balance between effectiveness and efficiency. And effectiveness for me is, are we looking at how doing all the things, all the right things? Because sometimes I think we overlay it with additional complexity. So one of the questions I'm asking my team, in both operations and technology, are we putting too much technology into some things? That can sound a little bit weird, but sometimes we can put too many applications. The applications are too complex. We're putting too many steps into the process. So I'm looking to remove and consider, do we need all those steps? And the next piece is efficiency. Those things that we do we do them as well as we possibly can do at the quality the customer expects? I think we do it well in many, many ways in many places, but in others, I think we could do better. And that's one of the things I'm asking my team to look at. But, okay, thank you for the question, Martin.
Okay, we've got time for a couple more. Who's next? Kaiji, thanks.
Thanks, Phil. Good afternoon, all. My name is Kaiji from Proposition. My question is, what are the differences and similarities you see between Malaysia and Swiss insurance market? And earlier on, Christoph has said that Malaysia is one of the 4 major focus area for Zurich. And what do you see is the potential and some exciting ideas to be brought over here?
So if you compare Malaysia to Switzerland, of course, they're very different markets now. I mean, Switzerland has one of the highest insurance penetrations. I mean, Malaysia is a growing market. Insurance still has quite a bit of upside. The middle class is growing. That being said, on the proposition side, I mean, I see some similarities. Now, Switzerland traditionally has very much been looking at guaranteed insurance products, very similar to the par fund we have here. And in the current environment, I mean, the current low yield environment, that is a very challenging product to sell. Now, it's even more challenging in Switzerland than here. I mean, long-term interest rates there are 50 basis points, so you can think what that does for the product. So we've had to go through a similar approach with the agents on moving them away from selling par fund to selling unit-linked products to selling protection. And I think that is very much something I think that the market can learn from here. And it's also one of the challenges I think that you're working on, Phil, with the team and with the agency. So how do we move away from that? So that for me is one of the similarities on the life side. It's also an area where we should reach out, or you should reach out to your colleagues, and we need to support you on how do you actually work through that transition? What are some of the new products that can be of interest to the consumer? So that's where I see some of the similarities, some of the challenges as well that are similar to in Switzerland on the life side. I don't know if you want to comment on some of the GI.
Well, just from a GI perspective, I think that similar to life, I think the penetration in Switzerland, the amount of insurance that customers in general buy is a much bigger number, and that's a symbol, I suppose, of the maturity of the Swiss market. It's also quite profitable, particularly from a GI perspective. We make considerable amount of money per capita in Switzerland, so that creates a lot of possibilities in terms of what we can do in that market. But I think you could ask me this question regarding any market. I think the fundamentals of insurance are essentially similar around the world. I mean, we need to understand in all of our markets what our customers' wants and needs are. We need to understand how to develop propositions to satisfy those needs, how to price those propositions appropriately, how to handle claims appropriately and provide the right claim service. We need to enable and make sure that all of our people are in a position where we can deliver that proposition. And we need to have a brand that's well known within the market for us to be successful. And those fundamentals essentially are the same in all the markets that we're in. And so there's a lot of similarities around our business, which is why, as an insurance group, we can operate as a group and bring some common processes and common procedures to the various markets that we're in.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks. Time for a couple more questions. Who's next? Regent, let's have one from you.
Hello, good evening, welcome. My name is Regent. I'm from Proposition as well. So perhaps I'll target this question to Ms. Cecilia Reyes. So what do you see in the Zurich Insurance Group in 5 years' time, and how will the Malaysia business unit fit into the role?
So, can you repeat your question, please?
Okay, sure. So what do you see in the Zurich Insurance Group in 5 years' time, and what is expected of the Malaysia business unit?
Well, of course, it's the the first and foremost, these I see or expect successful execution of the strategy that we have laid out. Martin has talked about over the next 3 years, 2014 to 2016. And certainly Malaysia will be a very important part of the success of the execution of that strategy. And in terms of, again, on the investment side, I see really a much deeper progress in integrating investment management approach that we do at the Zurich Group here in Malaysia, even more so because there are quite challenging investment issues, asset liability management issues that we face. I mean, we talked about par funds and all that. In managing this book of business, investment strategy is very important. And I see that over the next 3 to 5 years, that we would have fully embrace the solution to these issues that we face.
Anybody else care to comment on Zurich in 5 years' time and Malaysia's place in it?
Well, in Malaysia, I expect for you to have implemented your own ambition, which is doubling GWP by 2020, assuming that's in 5 years, roughly, right? That's one target you have set. And when we say that, then obviously in a profitable way. Now, also more for the group, I expect for us to, as we have the right strategy in place, as we have the right commitment in place, as we have a very strong and solid balance sheet in place, with all the respective recognition in the marketplace, for us to become a much more engaged organization from a people point of view. Isabel and all the colleagues in the organization have to work hard on that. I expect with that, as we prioritize our investment in distinctive positions along our customer segments, that we have the highest customer approvals. We measure that with the Net Promoter Score. We start rolling that out sequentially across the organization. So we have much better tangible points and do that. So top-notch customer satisfaction. I expected that as well to continue the outperformance for our investors, as we have shown the last 6 months. So I do hope and expect, well, not hope is not a good indicator. I expect for us to continue on this delivery, to as well have first quartile, sustainable shareholder satisfaction. And that brings us back then to the ambition we have and to the aspiration we have to be a top-notch player along our customer, or rather along our different stakeholder segments, the customers, the employees, the investors. And last but not least, I as well continue, or as well I expect that we are being recognized as a continued business which cares for the communities where we live and work. And I cannot tell you how important that is for me personally, as how important I think that is not only passed the financial crisis, we're still in a deep crisis of confidence. And what this crisis of confidence means that in many parts of the world, not all parts of the world, but in many, people have lost the confidence in political leaders, they have lost confidence in business leaders. So we have to make our own contribution and show the world that business is for all, and that it's business which creates jobs. Jobs are not growing on trees. Jobs are created by businesses which operate sustainably, but to do that they need to have a license and an endorsement from the community. And with that, what I want to say is that we have to be careful not to over-regulate businesses. And there's a bit of a risk of that. And if we make that point as well by being a responsible company with high ethical standards and a clear corporate responsibility strategy, which I think we have, we will as well be on the forefront of that. So it's the ambition back to where we are in 5 years, a top-notch player measured by our customers, measured by our employees, because we invest back in the employees as well. We develop the leaders. We expect from the leaders to develop themselves more in order to carry that throughout the organization, with that creating a shareholder value in a sustainable way, and also do not only do well, but also do good. And that's the part we play in the communities.
I could just add one point. I mean, in terms of the next 5 years, obviously, we look as a group to increase our profitability, increase our dividend to shareholders. We look for Malaysia to contribute in achieving its business plans and contributing to that overarching financial result. The other piece is that, in terms of helping both in Asia Pacific and at the group level, I think the Malaysian business has a great role to play as a service center, as a hub for providing services to other parts of Asia Pacific. And I would expect in 5 years that would be up and running and making a meaningful contribution to our efficiencies in Asia Pacific in total, and perhaps in other parts of the world as well.
Thanks, Mike. Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. If we went through all the questions, we'd still be here in time for the start of the meeting tomorrow morning. So apologies that we can't get through everybody's questions. 3 takeaways for me. Malaysia is important to the group. We've done a lot since the 30th of September 2011, but we're not where we want to be yet, and we're too nice. And with that, thank you very much to the GEC, both on the stage and here, for your thoughtful insights, and I'll pass back to Rosianna.
Thank you, Martin, GEC panel, and Phil for such a fruitful and informative session. With that, mark the end of our town hall session today. Once again, on behalf of the management, I take this opportunity to thank Martin and the GEC team for taking time to be with us, and we wish them a productive and successful visit here in Malaysia. To the local management team and staff, I thank you for your kind presence today. Please remain seated, as I would now like to invite our guests to exit the auditorium and the rest to follow after. Thank you.
So let me just thank you all again for your engagement, for your commitment, for your hard work. Stay the way you are, smile, be positive, and me and all my colleagues which are here this week, we are very excited to be here, and I hope we have an opportunity to sort of bump into each other and share a story, whatever there is. Just come forward if there's an opportunity to do so. If not, take care of yourself and all the best. I'm very much looking forward to stay in touch. All the best to you. Good luck.